can we be there for ourselves? So there's 3 things that we can definitely do. The first is to check in with ourselves. The next is to do what we need to do. And then the third one is to seek help when we need it. So when I'm talking about checking in with yourself, I'm talking about how are you practicing self-compassion? How are you, what does it look like when you're feeling unwell? So self-compassion really is about talking to yourself as you would talk to a friend. It's about being understanding of your limitations at that point in time and not putting these huge expectations on yourself. So sometimes we can't meet them. Maybe something happened during the week and we're emotionally exhausted and we just can't do something at the moment, but to be able to say it's okay and not beat ourselves up over it. And the next thing is to do, or what does it look like when we feel unwell? So for me, feeling unwell looks like me isolating myself, but it can look very different on anyone. And being able to pinpoint what that looks like for you, and then being able to seek the support when you see those happening is very important. And now we're going to discuss a bit about do what you need to do. So the first thing is, how are you actively building self-esteem? And we talk about self-esteem because it's very important, having self-esteem and self-worth, and not also relying on you being so limited, spread out, and being involved in all these things that give you worth, right? So being able to build that self-esteem, and what we do is we call it the 3 C's. So the first thing is control, and I know that Jen also mentioned this, but control in your life and having that can be very important. And so one of the ways to do that for you could be simply washing your place or cleaning. I know for some individuals that's something that helps give them control in their life. Another thing could be making a to-do list and following through it on the day. The next thing is community. So building rapport and staying connected to individuals is very important. And so that could be whether it's a friend group or a club or it's volunteering, something that gives you that line to the community. And then lastly, competence. So doing something that you're good at. And again, this is all about self-worth and self-esteem. So whether that's painting or cooking, or, you know, whether it's doing good on your test, whatever it is that helps you build your self-esteem and gives you confidence. And then lastly, how we're looking after our body's needs. So that's, you know, proper nutrition, exercise, and getting those 8 hours of sleep, which I know, especially if a lot of your university students, you guys are probably lacking. And I know I was lacking, but also having that steady sleep schedule as well. And I think also Jen touched on this. So. And then lastly, seeking support when you need it. So this is a big one that might be difficult for some of us, but are you open to reaching out for help, and who can you talk to if you're struggling? So for some of us, we might not feel comfortable reaching out for help, or we might not know who to turn to. And one of the tricks that I've learned and that I recommend to individuals is to have a list of 2 or 3 individuals or resources that you feel comfortable reaching out to, and you do this on your own time. And then when you're in a struggle or when you're in a crisis and maybe your brain's a bit muddled and you're a bit stressed out and you don't really know who to turn to, then you have that list there and you can access it whenever you need to. So again, seeking help when you need it is really important when we're talking about looking after ourselves. And then how can we be there for others? So there's 5 golden rules. Did it pause? Okay. There's 5 golden rules. So it's say what you see, show you care, hear them out, know your role, and connect them to help. So when we're talking about say what you see, we're talking about being factual. No assumptions, no judgments, simply saying, I've noticed you've been missing class, or I noticed that you have been staying up on social media really late every night, even though we have class at 8 in the morning. So saying just factual things that maybe you've noticed that might be concerning to you. The second thing is to show that you care. So when we're having a discussion with someone and we're trying to be there for them, showing we care by simply giving them a hug or telling them like, I care about you or I care about your mental health is really important, especially when we want to come off as a very non-judgment person to them. The third one is hear them out. So this is all about listening, actively listening, put away our phone, giving them eye contact, keeping good body posture and language, and also about validating their feelings. So it's not about validating their behaviors or their thoughts, but validating their feelings is really important. And then the fourth one is to know our role. So most of us are not mental health professionals. I know I'm not a mental health professional, So it would be unwise of me to be giving advice and all these things like that. If they ask for a peer perspective, that's one thing, but the goal is to connect them with professional help. And that brings us to 5, which is connecting them to help. So one of the most important things is connecting them to help looks very different for some individuals, whether that's suggesting a resource, whether that's calling Kids Help Phone with them, whether that's driving them to their counseling appointment. And there's many ways to connect an individual to help. And it's important because mental health is an ongoing struggle that we check in on them and we see how that connection went. And if it didn't pan out and they didn't feel comfortable with the counselor, then what we do is we try to find them something else that might be able to help them, a new resource or a new support. And so these, lastly, are just a few resources that you guys can seek out if you're struggling or if you know someone who's struggling. So we talk about a trusted friend or adult, we talk about an elder or community leader, and you can reach that at a friendship center or on campus. Usually you might have an Indigenous center, and so you can go there and access someone. Family doctors, which are great for referrals. I know that I have Bounce Back here, and that is a program that you do on your own that helps build resiliency skills. And so for that, you do need a family doctor referral. And then a counseling center or anonymous helplines and websites are great. And again, they're listed here.